in the UK, we take a lot of things for granted. We've got like, if we look at London, for instance, London's got everything available to us in terms of what this world sells us, you know. But then Cece had to go to Jamaica to actually really get like the gems.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So have we really got everything here?
See, the thing is, what I personally don't like with comparisons is because, like you just said, society kind of drives you to compare everything. But in reality, you shouldn't compare anything because we've all got our own individual situations that we've been through, gone through. But the fact of the matter is, someone's going through worse than what you've been through, and yours is worse than what we've been through. So then, therefore, if you're continuously comparing yourself to somebody else, you're not ever going to get to the end of the road of what you are or aren't meant to be doing because you're continuously looking for somebody's worse or somebody's better.
My thing is this, we all have a life experience, right? And some people are surviving and some people are living, right? So when I'm saying comparing, I'm not saying it as in to build an expectation of how my life should be, but it's about appreciating what I do have. Because otherwise you're not living, you're surviving. Like for instance, lots of people make lots of money and still not happy, but that in their mind is success. But you got money, but you're not happy.
But remember, it's relative. So it takes a certain type of somebody to see somebody that's in a better or worse position. Because remember, there's a yin and yang to everything. So if you're comparing in a positive way, to somebody that's had a worse experience than we have possibly, then subconsciously you're also opening yourself up to comparing yourself to somebody that's perceived better than you, because you cannot use the word compare and not have an expectation. It doesn't really work like that. So that therefore you'd be saying, okay, well that person lost a limb, so and I've got my limb, so I consider my limbs lucky.
That's the comparison.
That's the comparison.
That's how you're comparing. Right.
But there's got to be a
the important part is that people are comparing negatively. It's never like, oh, I'm gonna compare this and then say, oh, but do you know what? Because like it could be worse for me if I'm him and I've got what he has, rather than, you know what, like what I'm in might just be good for me right now.
And this is why I wouldn't say people compare. I'll say the way I see life is like a race with a million billion lanes, and everyone has their own lane. So you need to figure out what you want from your life. And what's happened is people say, well, you must have a mansion, or you must have 5 cars, or you must do this, you must do that, But the reality is, you just need to come to a place where you're happy with yourself and what you want. So, you know, if you think you like, I don't know, that bike over there, like a pedal pusher, and that's what you want as your mode of transportation, and that's what you feel is your Ferrari, that is totally fine. You don't need to compare your bike to somebody that's driving a Range Rover, because that's why I don't think, like, to me, I hate comparisons.
No, you're right.
No, listen.
It's not ours comparison. If that makes sense. It's the system. The system has made you go, you need to compare how you live.
I'm actually so on
what he's
what
saying,
you're on.
Absolutely.
Because I actually think some of the worst people on earth are people that tell you what you should have, when you should have it, and how, because it worked for them. Not taking into account the fact that, okay, so if I do it your way and I fuck up, are you going to help me, or are you going to tell me, oh, do you know what, you're fucked up and you're on your own and stuff? I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like with comparison, the only person you can compare yourself to is yourself.
It's yourself, your old self and your new self.
And what you've gone through. Because even with what you just said, with how people want to push what they did on someone else, I find that a lot in the holistic health thing. Because it worked for this person, this person, this person. It should work for you. Nothing is 100%. Nothing, no way of living, whether it's herbs, whether it's medicine, whether it is, nothing is 100% fact. I'm worth 100%. We're all unique beings. That's why we can't compare.
What I liked what you said earlier was when we was talking about the food, you said you got to listen to your body and eat the food that works for you. Whereas if we look at people that push diets and whatever, they say you've got to be 100% plant-based, as an example. They'll say you've got to be 100% plant-based. But you know what? I eat, spinach, so that means you must eat spinach. That means you must eat spinach 7 days a week. That means,
But you might be allergic to spinach.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's you.
But I think that's,
Like-
but in you saying everything about us being unique, the problem is we're not programmed to think we're unique. So it starts with the whole, oh, we're one race, we're one human race, but we're not all the same.
I think it's important to know that, like, you know, if you get yourself on like a plant-based diet, that's not going to guarantee that you outlive the guy who's on heroin.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Like, strong.
to be fair, that man run on empty anyway.
Yep, that's why they're still running.
But just because you switch it up, that doesn't mean that you've got your shit together.
No.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? And I think it's really important that people get this way of thinking locked in. Like, nobody that you look up to has it figured out.
No one.
Yeah.
Nobody. So I think it is important, as you said, tap into yourself
Yeah.
and do what your inner shit's telling you.
Yeah.
Because
That's up here.
from you start like following someone else, they're gonna take you off your path and take you somewhere else. And when you're there by yourself, no one's coming to pull you out. You're gonna have to find your way back.
But there's also two parts that you spoke on that people don't think about when it comes to healing, and it's the holistic side, which is the emotional and spiritual side.
Yeah.
Because you know there's barriers before with physical.
Right.
Physical is just a manifestation of other barriers being broken.
And with that, it's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Environmental.
Right.
Yeah.
All of it.
What are we saying? That balance is the most important word.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also important to know you can never just stay in like this balance forever. There's always going to be ups
There
and
has to be
downs.
changes.
There's always going to be peaks and troughs. Peaks and troughs. There's
Yeah.
always going to be that. Because that is what the yin and yang is. It's having the both. And it doesn't mean that something is bad, but we wouldn't even know what good was if we didn't get to experience it. That's why the balance is important.
And he said something. People are the problem, you know.
Oh yeah.
People are sick, and you know, people come with this like, oh yes, this is what you should do, but usually there's like a fee or an agenda behind it, and they're not going to tell you. They're just going to take you.
The sick don't make you healthy.
Yeah.
And then you just basically find yourself twisted like them, thinking, oh well, this is better for me. Why? Was that you?
Yeah.
Or was that them?
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
I'm just laughing because
It's self-serving.
Imagine if someone comes to you and says, "Oh yeah, so what do you think I should, doctor?" You discover yourself. Oh shit! I've got to do that inner work
by myself.
Yeah. I've got all the answers. What do you mean I've got all the answers?
Fair enough.
Because everyone's got the answers on the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
When it comes to certain things, race, the sexuality, eating, everyone wants to have an answer, but now it's time to you to deal with yourself to heal.
Those are real teachers because they tell you
Ain't about me.
it ain't about me.
I'm
I
taking
can't
you
tell
back
you
to
anything.
Exactly.
Right. In the Matrix, I always say this shit. Morpheus weren't telling Neo what to do.
No.
He weren't saying, oh, this is what you should do. But look, Neo found out in the end he was the one.
They say the answers are always inside of you. It's just whether you're willing to find
You
out.
have
And
to have
a lot
knowledge,
of it, and we have some guidance.
Yeah.
That's what people need, guidance, not answers, but guidance. Because like you said earlier, with the whole thing of your mind, I think that's a lot of things where people do the whole diet thing. It's all well and good changing your diet for the physical and all of that. But if your head wasn't in the right place in the first place, it makes no difference what you eat.
Exactly.
Like you could eat all the so-called nutritious this and nutritious that, but if your mind isn't nutritious, it still has an impact on your body.
That goes both ways though.
But this is what I'm saying.
If your mind is right and you're putting some bad stuff in your body shuts down, your mind's still going.
But this is what I'm saying. So it works in reverse. You can't have one without the other. If you're eating good, your mind has to be good. If your mind is crap and you eat crap, it goes together. But if you're always gonna have that battle between, and that's why even as you said, I know loads of people that are plant-based, but at some point they've either gone back to eating bare minimum of like maybe fish.
Yeah.
Because their body's like, no, do you know what? It got to a point where it was feeling like this and like that. I ate a little bit, but then I cut it out again. then I went back.
I did
So
that.
it's like a periodic thing.
I've done that.
I did that.
Yeah.
I did that, and I just felt quite weak. But then what my body was saying was, you just don't eat meat as regular. Just eat
Right,
it.
and you change your regularity
Listen,
of it.
Exactly.
Like,
Listen.
I got canines. I can eat meat,
Yeah.
but it's just how regular. So you ain't got like what dogs have got, where you got bare sharp teeth.
Yeah,
It's just.
Oh, I'm looking at
It ain't got a strong canine.
Listen, I flipping went plant-based only. I went vegetarian. I went pescatarian. And I've done all these for a solid amount of time. But literally, if I go out to eat, and whoever I'm with, I get like a nice. The food's nice, vegetarian, all that food's nice.
Yeah.
And someone gets like a steak from a good place. Yeah.
Look
My
at
body's
it,
not saying
No.
don't eat that. My body's saying, hey, big man, let me try some of that. That's what I'm saying. So now, if you're listening to your body, my body's saying it wants something. You know what I mean? So now I'm at a case where I literally eat what I want, but not excessively.
And that's it, it's management. Because I'll be honest, I haven't eaten red meat in 2 years? Yeah? And shellfish, cut them both out. But again, I was ready to do it because I stopped it like that. But I don't care. I keep telling my she done juju on me, yeah? Because I went to her house like 2-3 times, and I'm telling you, in the 2 years, I only ate red meat at her house. Nowhere. Someone puts it down. I remember when I had a sausage at a barbecue, and everyone went, "It's not pork." I was like, "I know." Beef, right? They were like, "Yeah." I said, "I stopped eating red meat." Done already munched a burger before this. Now I'm on the hot dog. I'm like, "Fuck."
Sometimes it just hits you
But
differently.
I didn't feel bad afterwards because I knew the reason why I stopped it also.
Yeah.
But I said, yeah, everyone was like, "It's cheat day." I was like, see.
Yeah.
And then after that,
True.
didn't have it again. And I ate some freaking lamb, and I was like, "Oh my god, why is it only here?" But clearly, when I'm there,
Lamb is a
right. But the thing is, again, it's still only small
Lamb's
bits.
special.
After that, cut it out, and I've only been doing the fish. But my body wasn't like, "Why did you eat that?"
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
You gotta know your
So you
limits.
actually
But I've got
know
to say, when
yourself.
I eat processed stuff,
Yeah, that's
I-
different.
yeah,
That's
I feel
different.
like I feel shit because that's
That is different.
and from this interview I had with this Dr. Aubrey, he was saying that they put certain processed chemicals in certain foods that they know are going to certain areas.
Yeah.
I was like, that's some
It's
mad
geographically
intention.
done.
So no wonder why we're depressed in certain areas, because when you go to certain areas, there's just chicken shops
Yeah.
and betting shops, and so you're like, ooh. But you do,
That's
like,
a
I
chicken
can't
shop
eat
and
at
betting
I
shop.
can't go into certain areas. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm not eating in that chicken shop because I know what the intention is. Even
And
if
even
you look
if
at
it's
the
not-
fat it's cooked in.
Yeah.
Even if it's
mad.
not that, it's supermarkets like Newham. If you go through Newham, yeah, and you see how many Icelands are in there, man.
Yeah.
You get an Asda, you might get a little Tesco Express, but they're all one big one. Like Gallia's Reach got a big, massive
Yeah.
one. But outside of those major ones, you don't get like the
Yeah.
little
Lidl.
Tesco's. You don't get. I don't think have they
Asda.
got a Lidl or an out. I don't even know if they've got those. It's bare Iceland.
Whereas my area in
along-
Greenwich, Waitrose, M&S.
Exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they really done your part. Right?
But this is what
No,
they're
what
saying.
is-
That's
see,
how
my,
it is.
obviously my area is like it's Greenwich though.
Affluent.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Although my bit's like rough looking, but the area Greenwich, and I'm like, you go down the road to Deptford and you go to Peckham and New Cross,
Changes again.
Asda, Lidl's, all of these things, and you're like, that is it's
It's an
purposeful.
attack
course
on
it
black
is.
people, man. Shit.
It's purposeful.
Poverty.
Yep.
But yeah, no, we got.